Okay, hello. So this is the final video in the set of my supernova outfit. These are the pants. This is definitely the simplest piece. I think the pants and the jacket are really lovely together, and they're pieces I'm definitely going to wear again because it's kind of like I've made myself a little suit that I can wear whenever I want to wear a suit. If you happen to buy the pattern, which will be up on my shop, I have put it up as individual pieces, but also the set of 3, so you can buy it all at once. I think personally the vest, it's totally wearable, but I'm not going to wear it, it's not my style. But the jacket and these pants are definitely things I'm going to wear again. The pants I also made with pockets because I hate pants without pockets. I like being able to have somewhere to put my phone and just anything else I'm carrying around, like a lip balm or something. So I made it with a pocket, so if you like that, you can keep that in there, but you can also sew them shut if you want, because they do kind of gape a little bit on the side depending on how they fit your body. But yeah, I'm really happy with how they turned out. They're super simple pants. Like, the only kind of fancy detail is that they have a fly front and pockets, but even that's not super insanely fancy. But yeah, I'm really happy how it all turned out, and keep watching. Okay, for the pants you need to cut one pair of the back piece, one single of the front right piece, making sure that the fabric is facing with the right side facing, so that when it cuts out it will be on the right side of the body, and then one single of the left pant front. So again, same thing, this one, when the pattern is placed like this, the right side will be facing down. This is to make sure that once it's all stitched together, this will sit on the left side with the right side of the fabric facing up. Then in the waistband we cut one in the main fabric and one in fusing, and don't forget to put in the notches, and also put in the notches on the 2 front pieces where the pocket will go. Then need one of the fly just in the main fabric, and in the pocket you need 2 pairs. So you can either do this all in the main fabric depending on how thick your main fabric is, but I've done a pair in the main fabric and then a pair in lining, and how I'm going to join these up is one side will have main and lining and the other side will have the other pair of main and lining. But like I said, you can do this all in main fabric if it's not too thick. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is grab the waistband piece, and with the wrong side facing up, I'm going to place the fusing with the glue facing down and just iron over it to fuse it completely. Okay, so I put the fusing on, and then I also just folded it in half. This will just save some time later on in the process, so I don't have to go back to the iron. Okay, so now taking the left side of the pant. Okay, so with the left side facing up and then the fly piece here, I'm going to take the zipper and we're going to insert it on this side. So what I'm going to do is, it should measure the length of this. This is just a 15 centimeter zipper. The most important bit is that the top matches up, so if you have to move it down a little bit or anything like that, just make sure that the top is matching up. And then with this folded in half, we're going to place that there as well, and then stitch along here with 1 centimeter seam, and make sure the zipper is facing down because it's going to fold back out this way. Okay, so this is what it will look like, and then just fold it out like so. Now what I'm going to do, which is pretty much an optional step, is I'm going to overlock this edge and also this bottom edge. Now, like I said, that's optional. I'm just doing that because I like the neat finish it creates. And because these pants aren't lined or anything, I just want to prevent any fraying or any messy seams inside. Now, if you don't want to overlock it, then the next thing will be attaching this side onto the right side of the pant. Okay, so grabbing the right side and placing it over the top like so. What we're going to do is match up this curved edge to the edge here, because if we match it up to this fly edge, then it will sit flat on top of it. With that all lined up, I'm just going to pin only through the right side of the pant and the zip, not into the fly at all. Okay, so what I'm gonna do after I stitch this on is also just overlock this curve as well. Again, that's optional. If you don't have an overlocker but you do want to kind of protect the fabric from fraying, you can also do a zigzag stitch on the edge. So wherever I overlock throughout this entire piece, feel free to do a zigzag stitch, or if you feel like the fabric's not going to fray or be that messy, you can just leave it as well. Okay, so we'll finish off the rest of the fly in a moment. We're first just going to place this with right sides facing up and then grab the back pieces, and with right sides facing down we're going to pin the inner leg seam and stitch that all 1 centimeter and then overlock, and pin the outer leg seam and stitch that 1 centimeter and overlock. With the outer leg seam you only stitch up until the pocket notch. So there's 2 notches, so you stitch up only to that one and then leave a gap and then stitch from the second notch up to the top. Okay, so that is all sewn and overlocked and the hole was left for the pocket. Now what I'm going to do is grab the pocket pieces, placing them so the right sides are facing up and then the lining with the right sides facing down. What I'm going to do is stitch all around the edge and then overlock all around the edge as well. Okay, so the 2 pockets are done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be placing them so the main fabric will be touching your skin and this will be touching the front of the pant. So they'll be sitting this way. So grabbing the pants and keeping in mind, so this is the front of the pant with the back over the top of it. Okay, so we want to attach this piece on here. What we're going to do is just open this up like so, and from this notch we're going to attach this piece on. So just make sure you push away any of the main fabric. We're just attaching the lining piece down here, so lining up the notch with the seam we sewed on the pocket, just like that, and then the top notch and the top seam on the pocket as well. So we'll stitch along that seam 1 centimeter, and then in similar way we'll stitch this seam as well, and we'll do the exact same thing on the other side as well, and it should look something like that from the outside. Okay, those are now attached, so they'll look like this on this side, and I advise that you press these towards the side you want them, just so that the lining doesn't peek through and none of the stitching or anything, like the seam lines or anything, peek through, so it has that nice clean finish on the side seam. Now what I'm going to do is finish connecting the 2 sides of the pants together. So just grabbing any side and turning it right side round. I'm then going to place the leg, which is right side round, inside of the one which is wrong side round, and then all we're going to do is match up these 2 back crotch seams, match up the middle of the crotch seam, and when it gets to the point where there is the fly, just make sure you have it pressed flat over the top of the zip, and you'll just stitch up to where the zipper finishes. So we held that flat, turning it over, I can see where the zipper finishes. That's where the stitching needs to finish up here, and I'm going to overlock this seam as well, and just stitching with the 1 centimeter. Okay, so now that is all stitched, we can turn it right side around, and it should be looking a lot more like a pair of pants. So all we've got to do is finish off the fly, and then attach the waistband and do the hem. So just making sure this is all sitting nice and flat. What we're going to do is make sure that this is folding over the exact amount of this fly piece. So from where this overlocking edge is, that's where we want it to sit flat. So the reason I'm doing this is we need to stitch along this edge here. What I'm feeling underneath is this raw edge here, so we just want to create a stitch along there. So the reason I'm holding everything flat and making sure it is all covering up everything as we want it is just to make sure that that is going to sit how we want it. If you don't sit it flat and align things, you can end up having it sitting at an odd angle. So just like that, we're just going to stitch across here. So you can sew this from the outside or from the inside if you're worried you're not going to be catching it. I'm just going to sew it from the outside because I want to make sure the stitching looks nice since this is on the outside of the garment. And I'm just stitching up until the edge of this folded piece. So I can mark that in as well, that that edge finishes here. So I'm basically just going to stitch along where I have that orange up until the blue. Okay, so that is all stitched. Now what I'm going to do is again making sure this is laying nice and flat. All I'm going to do is we're going to stitch up this side. However, this side we don't want to catch the left side of the pant. So I'm going to just pin the first two layers, so the folded front piece, making sure it's the right width there. Holding that, I'll undo the zip just so it's a little bit easier, and keeping everything nice and flat, nice and folded. I'll just grab in between the zipper here so that I can pin just here. And so we're going to stitch just this layer of the fabric up from that point up to the top. Okay, so just like that, it's all nice, and I advise that you go over and press this, make sure that fold is really in there. Okay, what I also have done is overlocked the hem, and all I'm going to do is turn this up 2 centimeters and just stitch it down. Okay, so I've stitched up the hem just with the 2 centimeter seam allowance. Now I'm going to move on to the waistband. With the waistband, just going to overlock one of the sides first. Okay, so I just overlocked the side that doesn't have the notches in it. And now what I'm going to do is attach this side, the non-overlock side, onto the pant. So I'm going to undo the fly for this just because it will be easier to sew. So what we want is on one side there is one notch which is just 4 centimeters in, and on the other side there is one 4 centimeters in, and then there's one a further 3 centimeters in. The one with just the one knot is just to indicate where this front will go, so where the center front seam is, so that just sits on that notch there. The reason we're doing that is because we will clean up this edge by stitching it down. So it should be approximately 1 centimeter left over on this side, then pinning around the rest of the waist. And then on this side, again, the center front, which is about where we stitched this top stitching, should match up with the first notch, and the edge should match up with the second notch. The reason for this is it's going to create just a little overlap, so when we have the pants doing up, it will overlap just like that. So I'm going to stitch that on with 1 centimeter seam. So that is all stitched on. Now what I'm going to do is just fold it back the wrong way, and all I'm going to do is on this side with the flat, pin it together, and I'm going to stitch from where this seam sits up and then up here just to create a little box at the end. And on this side, again, same thing, folding it wrong side like that, and from that seam, making sure not to catch this seam, and you should be able to feel it through the fabric. So just from there and stitch up, and that should be about 1 centimeter. Okay, so these are stitched. Now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to snip in and cut off the corner up here just so it folds through neater, and same here, cutting this corner and then also up in this corner. and then turning it in right side round this time. And you can just use some scissors as long as they're closed to help push it through. Can be a little bit easier and more precise than using your finger. So you can kind of see now how they'll sit over each other. So when the fly is done up, it will sit like that. Now all we've got to do is go around and ditch stitch so that the waistband stays flat. So at this moment only one side of the waistband is actually attached to the waist, the rest is just left free. So what we're going to do is folding up the attached side so it sits inside like so. I'm just going to go around and on the right side of the garment pin this down. This is where it's important to fold it in half because this will make it easier to ensure when you're stitching inside of this seam that you're picking up the waistband on the other side. So I'm going to go around and pin all around here, and when I stitch it I'm going to be stitching right inside this seam just for a really neat and clean finish. Okay, so that is all stitched down. As you can see, you can't see any of the stitching or anything, which is exactly what you want. On the inside, the waistband is properly stitched and attached everywhere. Now all I'm going to do is add one of these hook and bar things just on the edge here. So all I'm going to do is make sure that's all lining up neatly. I'm just going to put a pin on this side of the garment just where that finishes, just so I know. Okay, so I'm going to take these. So what you want is you want the hook on the top piece because it's going to be the one that you go down and put it on, instead of, you generally don't find them the other way around. So all I'm going to do is attach the bar piece just inside of this here, and then the hook piece will be attached just inside here, and the pants are done. So I'm just going to go over and press it one last time, make sure all of the, you know, like pocket seams, fly, everything is nice and pressed, and then it's completely done. Okay, so that was the final piece in this outfit. I'm really happy with how it all turned out. I definitely think the pants are super wearable. If you want something easily to be able to make for wearing to work or somewhere where you might need to wear a suit or something a little bit fancier, I suppose. These are super easy and super simple to make. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you go and check out the pattern if you're interested in making this for yourself. It's all up in my shop and I'll put the links down below. I'm also doing custom made stuff on my shop, which I'm really excited about. So I can custom make you a pattern if you want. I can custom make you a piece that I've already pattern made as well. Just everything will be up on the shop, and I'll link below to the blog post kind of explaining it in a little bit more detail. And yeah, please subscribe, like the video, comment what other videos you would like to see. I have a few things I want to make, and assuming I'm not too busy in the next few weeks, I will be putting those videos up soon. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.